cylinder is 1.5 inches. So I gotta put the spacer back in there just so everything kind of sets. Look at that. My wife picks on me because I keep everything, but I mean, I probably had that who knows how long. Who knows where that came from? Probably from a tractor. Oh, you know what it is? Thermal spacer. But okay, got all the lift mechanism out of it. Again, trans is on the bench. I'm going to tip that on size, pull that cover off, and we're going to look at it. Put some steering parts on it. All right, so this is off like a 72, I think, with the fan gear. I got the shaft. What I was saying, I got the shaft for it. We got to put a tower on this. I'm not going to take the steering tower or the dashboard off of that one. I have one up back, so you'll find that when you start doing a bunch of these, you start getting parts. So anyway, these are off like that's off like a 72, I think, along with this piece, because it didn't have it on here. So the parts interchangeability, I mean, the frames are the same since freaking beginning of time. This is off. This is Charlie Horse's original front axle. Got some tie rods on it. Those are beefed up ones I've done. Spindles are good. So we got some steering, got some wheels on it. So as soon as I get this thing locked, we'll get that back on, and we'll get it up in the air, and at least it'll be up on some wheels. Then it's all downhill from there. Next will be I'll flip the camera back on, and we'll hang it up there, and I'll flip this over and start pulling that cover off. I've never done one of these, so I guess we'll see. Oh man, that's a good fit. Okay. My baby's clean. That's nice. Wow, that's clean. I mean, it's not super old, but man, that is clean. Sweet. So that goes there. Keyway. That goes there. So I have never pulled one of these apart. It seems super straightforward. But, so I don't have to go back to the video. You know, you got washers and all that jazz. So I just like to snap a couple pictures. Because it don't hurt to do it. Okay, that's in case you drop one of these washers off or whatever. Okay, she's a little milky in there. It's had a little bit of water in it. It's not bad though. Man, that thing's clean in there. Boy, that's a good, clean transmission. Gears look good. Everything looks really good. Okay. So, next step, I'm going to yank these gear sets out. Should be these two. This one and this one. And then I should be able to pull the axle assembly out. And then I'm going to clean that bull gear up. And I'm going to weld that. Okay, got it all welded up. So, weld all the pinion gears. Pretty good weld, each one. Don't do the flip method. If you flip they'll break. You got to weld them. Nice fat weld in there. All that'll be fine. Try to clean off all the little balls that you can. You got some that are hanging. Best you can. I mean, these things are pretty stout, but I try to do as much as I can. So now I'm going to take the bull gear. Right, we'll pop that back in there. I've marked everything with my etcher. I got some, I don't know if you can see those marks I put there. Boom, boom, boom. They correspond, you know, with those marks that I put. Shit. I think you can see it. There's marks right there I put. And then there's 3 there. So it's going to go together the same way. So everything's nice and loose. That way, because if you pull, when I pull this back apart, if you get this turned and you can't, boy, you'll be fighting it. You'll be fighting it. It's still hot. marks. That's lined up, that's lined up. Okay, back together. Long shaft goes down. Like so. I still got to clean this up. A lot of the guys just run RTV. I think I'm going to run RTV on it instead of waiting on a gasket. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Who knows? Okay, now gasket, notorious for being a pain in the ass. All right, so these are soft. They're made to clean gaskets. That's an old one. It's not like that gray one's a little stiffer, but they're like a fiber, almost like a compacted Scotch-Brite, almost. Okay, so a little bit has happened. I had to shut the camera off for a bit. I didn't get a ton done. So anyway, we got this thing. She's a roller. Okay, so trans is back in. There's no fluid in it yet or anything, but I wanted to get it on 4 wheels, just kind of see what it looked like. So I asked some of my friends on one of my Facebook groups what the vote would be. Should I stretch this? And the vote was unanimous. Put a little stretch in it now while it's the way it is. So I'm going to do this one just a little bit different than I did the Charlie horse. So the Charlie horse, I don't know if anybody's watched, I put an extra mount plate. I don't know if you can see the dual mount plates back there, and that worked out really well. But this one gets really beat to piss. So that had to be done for strength. I put 3 5/8 stretch in the back. Had to reinforce the mount plate. Blah blah blah. This one has a reinforced mount plate on it. Okay, but what I think I'm going to do with this guy, because there's not a lot of linkage to deal with on these. Hoses are all going to be self-contained into the unit, right? All the lines are self-contained. The only one I'll have is the brake linkage, which, I mean, realistically, you could almost just put a longer bolt here. I don't know. Anyway, so worst case scenario, it's there. So all this stuff has to kind of stay together. So I'm going to unbolt it right there and right there. Okay, I'm going to take this whole centerpiece off, and then I'm just going to cut this frame cut it. Oh, I think I'll leave about maybe 3 inches in the back, cut it. And then I have another frame that I've cut the back plate off to use on the Charlie horse, but it's got all the heavy duty angle on it. And then I'll cut 2 pieces of angle, put them on there, weld the crap right out of them, and just extend the frame, but in the back. It'll essentially be the same thing as I did with that. I think it's just going to be a lot less intense. It's just going to be cut off, put some channel in there, and away you go. So I think that's the way I'm going to go with this. I mean, obviously longer belt, but who cares? There's no clutching action of it. It's just a preloaded belt on a spring, because it turns all the time. And then your forward reverse action is here. So, and that'll hook to here. The brake shuts that all down when you need to. So I think it's going to be a pretty straightforward stretch. I think it's going to be pretty straightforward. So that's where we're going to head with this. We'll see how it goes. Don't buy these. They're Milwaukee's, all the grease and wet and don't bother them. Bull crap. Get yourself a silver streak. Okay, so what I got is I've got this marked here and here. That's where I'm going to cut this frame. That's ahead of the plate. I don't have to change my spring bracket. I can continue to use these 2 holes for the centerpiece, and these I'll be able to use also to mount it back on. So basically I'm going to cut this, and then I'm going to use, I got another frame, and I'm going to lay 1 piece under here. So it'll be under the rear part. I'll be able to, because it's inside it, I'll be able to weld here, the end, I'll drill here, weld. I'll be able to weld on the inside. I'll also drill here to be able to weld to it there. Then it'll go over top of this part of the frame so that I don't get involved in these brackets for the footboard. So it'll go over top. So it'll get a little bit of a kind of like that situation. But I don't think it's going to matter. It'll kick it a little bit. But I think that's where I can get the strength out of it, because I can get from here to here 4 inches of coverage, weld the snot right out of it, and then actually up here I can get whatever coverage, although it'll be funny. Let me try to go, let me think about this, because if I go under and over, these are going to need to squeeze in, and they're not going to want to squeeze together at all. The only other way would be because of these are in the way. These. Let me think about it. Alright. So this is an old frame that I've already cut the plate off for the Charlie horse. I need 8 inches. That'll give me 4 and 4 of coverage. I think that's enough, plus 3, because that is going to be the length of the stretch itself. So plus 3 is 11. So that'll be my cut. right? Yeah, we're gonna do a 3-inch stretch on it. All right, so now I'm gonna figure out exactly what I'm gonna do. I thought about putting them on the inside. That line's in the way. I think we're gonna go here. I'm gonna cut for that mount plate, weld the crap out of it. But I think we're gonna do that because I can put bead here, like all of that. I'll drill this, put a couple. Over here is gonna get funny with the tower, but that's okay. Figure that out. This side. Oh, let's see. Okay, we got a spring mount. That's not a big deal at all. Whatever, that is what it is. I'll just put it through this. So we'll be able to do both sides exactly the same. That'll sit down nice. Won't be in the way. So I'm going to take that spring retainer off, keep it, and then we're going to cut this frame. The thing about this stuff, if you guys got half an ability and a little bit of forethought, I mean, it's not hard. I mean, yes, I got a good welder, but I didn't always have this stuff. I mean, you could bolt this together if you had to. Welding is always king, but I'm just saying, like, don't be afraid to get into these things. Don't be afraid of it. Just get into it and start figuring it out. Then, just like a magician, all right, so let's see, I'm gonna set this at 3. That's all I'm gonna do on this one is 3 inches. I've made up these brackets, right? Drilled a lot of holes. These holes are going to be to weld through to the frame, weld the ends. Those are to weld through to the frame. 2 of those are bolt holes, and the other 2 in the middle are to weld to the frame to get that center. So I got this cleaned up to weld. As you can see, I got one on there clamped. This space is 3 inches. Once I get this one tacked on, okay, I'll put the other one on and I'll actually measure the frame length versus trying to rely on 3 inches here. So whatever that one happens to be, I'll match this one to it end to end, and then we know the frame is square. Would it be that big of a deal? Probably not, but you want to be, you know, as close as possible. That's how pros do it. So I'm going to weld this thing up. I won't have the camera on because you're not going to see anything. So I'm going to tack it all on real good. Then I'm going to set this one, tack this one all on real good, making sure everything's good, and then I'm going to burn it all in. So you'll see that when it's all done. Okay, so I got those welded in, both of them. I've drilled, you see the holes where I welded. All right, that gets you a spot. That weld's pretty shitty, but it was a hard spot to get. But anyway, they're all welded in. Really, really good. So now, I'm gonna flip this thing up and get all underneath there, and it's not gonna go anywhere. It's not gonna go anywhere. I mean, half this frame, if you check them out, their welds are minimal at best. So, I ain't gonna go anywhere. So anyway, I'm gonna flip this thing up and I'll weld all them underneaths. And then I have to do a lot of little modification to the center tower there. And you see right there, I got an old dashboard off a B60 that I'm going to use along with parts from this thing. It's not the same setup. That's actually a shifter model, but I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it happen. It's going to be fine. Because I don't have the rest of the stuff for the 520, so we're going to use that dash. That stuff being plucked on it. I got a hood up top. You know, once we get the body all together, and then we'll start stuffing the that big 18 in there. I know they'll fit because I've had one of those on the Charlie horse without cutting the hood. I just have to make an intake. I think this one I'm going to shove the motor forward further than the Charlie horse. You see where that is, because I'm not going to put another fuel tank there. This one may have a different setup for a fuel tank. I'm not exactly sure what yet. I have a horseshoe tank. I don't know if it'll fit on this hydro, but I have one, and I'd like to put that on here. So we'll shove the motor up another, whatever this distance is. Right, I'll get another 4 or 5 inches out of it forward on this one. And then it's got a 3-inch stretch. So that's the plan. What, if it goes anywhere, we got bigger problems. Welded all those spots underneath. You know, where's it gonna go? I don't think it's gonna go anywhere. I gotta make a brace. Should I do it now? I don't. The hard part's getting to these bolts. So I've thought about just another piece of angle, because on the Charlie horse it's long. We'll think about it. I can always flip it back up.